A very good morning to Miss. So today I'm going to present the introduction for our group's assignment. Firstly, the objective of this assignment is we are assigned to create suitable activities in literature unit for bachelor students. So all the activities that we are required to create for this assignment shall be suitable for bachelor level students. A little bit about the cultural model, the language model, and also the personal growth models, which are used in teaching literature. Firstly, the cultural model is a model that focuses on examining the cultural differences woven between literary works. Initially, the cultural model is a model that is used by the educators of literature to, in order for their students to compare and contrast the cultural differences within the literary texts and the current living. Right. So next is about the language model. The language model is a model that primarily focuses on language acquisition and proficiency development through the study of literary texts. So the educators that uses this model in literature usually aims for their learners to focus on language acquisition and also their proficiency development in language. And the third model, which is the personal growth model, this is the model that focuses on using literary text as a catalyst for students' personal development and self-discovery. So usually educators that uses this model, they use this model in order for the students to personally develop through the literary text. So the type of literary text they are chosen when used this model are usually more mm, more into teaching the students for a personal development, where the story usually includes moral lessons. All right, so that is about a little bit about our introduction on the three models as well as our objective for this assignment.
Good day, Dr. Cynthia. I'm Sri Letchumy. Today I'm going to present one of the activity that we did for cultural model. Let me share the screen. Alright, the text that we chose is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou in 1978. Its genre is poetry. The skills that this activity is going to focus on is reading and grammar. The mode of the activity is lyric poetry, and the teaching aids that we are going to use for this activity is either hard copies or soft copies of the poem together with an online platform called Workalab. Alright. Firstly, the lecturer need to distribute the copies of the poem to the students. Then introduce the Workalab platform and explain its purpose, where the students will be doing a digital vocabulary board using this Workalab. Lecturer assigns specific vocabulary words from the poem to each student and encourage collaboration by having students to add definitions, synonyms, antonyms, and one example sentence for each word on the board. Next, lecturer directs students to read the poem individually, annotating for themes, literary devices, and historical reference. Also encourage them to make connections between the poem's theme and their knowledge of literary theory, cultural context, and historical events. Moving on to the next activity, next part in this activity is dividing the students into small groups and assign each group a specific stanza of the poem. explain that each group will be responsible for creating a presentation that offers a dramatic interpretation of their assigned stanza. So the students basically need to create a dramatic interpretation with their assigned stanza. Encourage students to incorporate textual analysis, performance theory, and dramatic techniques to bring their interpretation to life. They can actually look for examples in YouTube videos. Next, allow time for students to work collaboratively within their groups to plan and rehearse their presentation. Lastly, have each group present their dramatic interpretation of their assigned stanza to the class. Encourage students to engage with the presentations actively and take notes for the reflective discussion. For the lecturer, after each presentation, facilitate a reflective discussion where students analyze the effectiveness of the dramatic interpretation in conveying the themes and messages of Still I Rise. That's all for this activity. Thank you.
Hello to my lecturer, Madam Cynthia. My name is Farzanah Binti Silahuddin. For my part, I will explain two activities, which is one is from cultural model and one from language model. I'll share my screen now. For cultural model activity, I'm going to do a play activity. All right, the text is exploring fiction through play. The genre is play, and the skill that I'm using is speaking. Mode is online. Teaching aids that I will be using is Zoom and Padlet. For the steps, teacher will introduce on fiction, then moving on to play charades character game, a quick one for introduction. Then we'll be moving on to the activity, which is first, we will do exploring characters, which students need to be in a group, use props to create a short skit or scene depicting their assigned character. And then we will create setting, which the teacher will show images of different settings from various fictional stories. For example, magical forest, bustling city, or spaceship. And then the student needs to be in pairs. They will have to create a mini setting using provided prompts, which is hat or their clothing. And then students will need to plot development, which students will use their assigned characters and setting to develop a short plot based on the prompt. Present their skit or story plot to the class. For the last one, in Padlet, they will need to write a summary of the importance of imaginative play in understanding and appreciating fiction. And that is for cultural model activity. Okay, and as for the second activity is language model. I'll share my screen first. Okay. Okay, for the text is exploring poetry, a journey of language and emotion. The genre is poem, skill that I'm using is speaking. Mode is online, and the teaching aids is using e-book forum for them to refer, Padlet and Zoom. Okay, as for the steps, teacher will do an introduction to the poetry and ask them a few questions such as what do they think defines poetry, and then the teacher will explain the elements of poetry. Next, students will be analyzing a poem, which they will select a poem and read them aloud as a class. Then they will analyze it. Moving on to the activity. In a Padlet, students are required to create their own creative original poem with different poetic elements and techniques, and emphasize each poet with a unique voice and style. And that is all. Thank you.
Hi madam, I'm Sharimila A. Today I'm going to present about personal growth model activity. The text is novel. The title of novel is The Power of Now. The journey is narrative. Skill that I use is speaking and writing. The mode is online. The teaching aids that I'm using is virtual escape room website from Google Form and Breakout Edu Digital. The steps are: the lecturer begins the lesson by reviewing key aspects of the novel, including themes, character, and plot. The lecturer explains the concept of virtual escape room activity and its objective to the students. The lecturer shares the link to the virtual escape room with students and provides some instruction related to the activity. The lecturer divides the student into 3 or 5 members and makes the background and ability each of them. The lecturer assigns each team a unique team name or identify or easy communication during the activity. So after that, the lecturer provides clear instruction of virtual escape room challenge and including how to navigate the platform, rules, time limitation, and more. Then the lecturer reviews the role of each team member and encourages students to communicate effectively using the chat or messages. So the leader of each group begins the time to continue the activity. Students should solve all the questions and challenges they encounter while performing this activity. Once the time limit is over, all teams have to complete the challenges, rejoin class for the briefing section. The lecturer congrats the team on their effort and success. The lecturer will discuss and explain the connection between the puzzles and novel term, theme, character, and plot. After completing the activities, students should reflect on their learning experience and share what they gained from this activity. Okay, after that, the lecturer gives feedback to the students on their performance and areas of their improvement. These are the steps of this activity model. From this activity, students can improve their critical thinking because students are challenged to solve puzzles and unlock clues related to the novel. So because of that, students can promoting critical thinking skill and analysis skill. Then collaboration. Okay, the collaboration is most important in working in team. So working in team encourage collaboration and teamwork. and allowing students to share their ideas, and they can get to know about their strengths and problems from each and everyone. That's all from me today, madam. Thank you.
Next, I am going to focus on one of the activity, which is an activity that is suitable to be taught under using the cultural model. So the text, the literary text that would be used for this activity is the Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson. All right. So the genre of this literary text is fictional, and the skill focused on this activity is mainly on reading. And the mood of this text is a short story. Initially, it's a short story, and the teaching aids that can be used for this activity is the short story, the Canva.com website from the internet, and also the storyboard.com website from the internet. These are the main teaching aids that will be used throughout the activities. Right. Moving on to the steps of the activities. All right. Moving on to the steps of this activity. In order for the teacher to carry out the activity in the classroom, firstly, the students are required to read the short story, The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson. Then students are provided with a link to access to the copy of the short story. All right, so in order for the students to access to this copy, students are provided with an online link. All right, this short story can be found online. And then when the students have read through the short story is inclusive of 15 pages. The students are required to read it. And when after the students have read the short story, teacher will briefly explain about the plot and the ending of the story. And then teacher may carry out a question and answer session with the students in order to check their understanding. Then students are required to work in a group of 3 members and construct a bubble map using the Canva.com website. For this part, the teacher may group the students into 3 members, or the students may choose their group members. The 3 members may be changed according to the teacher's classroom size. All right. The bubble map should consist of 3 cultural themes the students can find throughout the story. According to the story, the students have to create a bubble map which is related to 3 cultural themes. That should be the bubble map should consist of 3 cultural themes and also an example of the event from the story. After that, students must identify 5 main events of the story that explain the whole story. Upon reading the story, the students should be able to identify the 5 main events of the story, where the events are able to briefly explain the whole story. Upon identifying these 5 main events, the students must create a simple illustration through the storyboard website based on the main events. The storyboard.com website is a website where students will be able to create stories by illustrating them. This can be done in a group or individually.
Hi, madam. I'm Johana. I'm going to present about my activity. So basically, I choose songs under personal growth model. So the text is about songs. The genre is song lyrics, which is Wake Me Up by Avicii. Skills is reading, but it can be listening also, as they will listen and they will read. The mode is about physical, which will happen in the classroom. Teaching aids, mystery box, cardboard, 21st century learning strategies, project-based learning, and critical thinking. The steps are, this is a group activity. Basically, the lecturer will print out the song's lyrics and cut individual alphabets. The keyword is individual alphabets. Students form a group of 4 members. Students choose a big and comfortable place for them to do this activity. It can be like indoor activity. If they want to do inside the classroom also can, or if they want to do outside of their classroom also can. Lecturer will put the alphabets into the mystery box. Lecturer will keep the box in the middle and they will provide song verses and chorus to each group. Students are required to find the alphabets from the box and arrange all the alphabets accordingly in the cardboard given and complete it. For example, the first verse of the song is "Find the darkness through me." So the lecturer will cut the alphabets into individually. For example, the lecturer will cut F in a paper, I in a paper, because there's a fine darkness, right? So F in a paper, I in a paper. So they will cut it individually alphabets. So once students complete, arrange accordingly, they need to sing the song in front of their classmates. They have to find the alphabets based on their verses given for them. Then the other groups should continue the second verses. For instance, the first group A will sing the first verse, which is find the darkness through me. And then the other team, those with the second verse or chorus, should run to group A and then sing the song followed by the first verse. Lastly, once all the students complete this song activity, once they already sing, all students gather as a one group and sing the full song. Once they are already arranged accordingly, they have to sing the full song. After this, students should upload the poster. They have to paste it their verses in the poster, in a poster work, and then they have to upload it in the space given in the Padlet, which is the lecturer will given a Padlet link. Then they have to upload it in the Padlet. And that's all for the song lyrics activity, madam. This assignment, I truly believe that this assignment is really helpful for us, where this assignment, as an educators, as a future educators, this assignment really helpful for us to develop our literacy skills. And also we, from this assignment, we understand what is about literature. How can a literature help a student in the future? So there are a few things I would like to highlight here, which is literature can help the learners to shape their goals, values by making clear their identity both positively and negatively. Sometimes the literature can help the learners to develop their thinking skills by thinking in positively and negatively. Also, through this learning or reading literature, learners can be able to grow personally and intellectually. Yes, it's very true. And I agree that through this learning or reading literature, such as reading novels, poems, or reading songs or singing songs, which they can from these lessons they can be able to develop and they can be able to learn new vocabularies, and they will be able to learn about grammars and so on. So these are the things where can help the learners to able to grow them personally, intellectually, such as they can be able to develop their literacy skills. It can develop their communication skills, reading skills, writing skills, and also they can be able to develop their thinking skill, which is they can be able to develop their thinking skills in thinking in a positive way and in a critical thinking. There are few suggestions I would like to suggest here. The first thing is about education. Educators should use online platforms as 21st century teaching aids for the learners. Yes, this is very true. In this current era, there are many lecturers and the teachers, educators are not using online platforms properly in this current era. What I would like to suggest is, in the future, maybe as a future educators, we can use online platforms as 21st century learning teaching aids so that it can help the learners to it can have the learners to have interest in study, or it can have the learners to have interest in learning literature, so that they can be able to develop their thinking skills, writing skills, reading skills, and so on. The another suggestion is about educators should give activities such as role play activity or fun based learning activity. This is very important, and I truly believe and I truly agree to this suggestion. Why I agree this is because when when the teachers or lecturers, when they give role play activity to the learners, from that the students can be able to express their inner talent, which is acting or singing or communication. Also, they can able to develop their communication skills. And that's all from me, madam. I hope this assignment is really helpful for all the other future educators and all my classmates. Thank you.